Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scott.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 47 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Coastman, and he's back. He's back. He's been away for 2 weeks, and nobody knew where he was. There was a manhunt going on. There was a GoFundMe page getting ready to set up, but he's back. Ayaz Sumra just walks into the studio like nothing happened. Ayaz, welcome back, man. How you been doing?
I'm good. How are you, Joey?
Yeah, man, we've missed you on this show. We've had a lot of big guests on the last few shows, the last 2 shows when you were absent, but it's brilliant to have you back.
It was my pleasure coming back on the show.
Okay. Well, we're going to get straight into business. I just want to say, for those first-time listeners, the month of August, everybody knows, it's kind of like a dead season for boxing. So we like to keep our guests relevant. We like to get on guests that are relevant to each particular week of boxing. So if we have if we do a show midweek, as we do every single week, we like to bring on someone that either fought last week or is fighting this week. We like to keep it very relevant. However, throughout the month of August, there hasn't really been any big fights on or anything like that. So no one's really been any more relevant than anyone else. But to keep it flowing here on the BoxHard Podcast, to keep things interesting, I actually made a little bit of a promise to bring on a world champion each week throughout August. So there's 4 weeks in a month, realistically. So I look to bring you 4 world champions on 4 shows, of course. And it seems that we've actually surpassed that. We've got another world champion on today's show. It's absolutely booming here at the moment. Obviously, this is something that cannot continue for much longer, but at the moment we have got on this week's show another world champion, so that makes it now 6 world champions in 5 shows. So of course last week we had Brandon Rios, the week before Omar Figueroa and Lee Selby, the week before that Antonio Tarver, and the week before that the great Mikey Garcia. So as I said, we've got another guest on this week's show, another former world champion in the shape of Juan Diaz. It's about a 30-minute interview and we talk pretty deep. We get pretty deep. We talk about some stuff. We talk about honest stuff throughout his career. You know, he was a real cracking fighter, and a lot of people forget. They think he's really old. It's just because he started his career really early. I think he turned pro when he was about 16, 17. So he's only 32, and he's back in the picture, and he wants to make big things happen in the near future. So we're going to roll straight into part 1. Sorry for rambling on a little bit there. Part 1, of course, the first part in part 1 is the review part of the show. So we're going to talk about, as I said, there's not been too much boxing on, but we're going to start over in New York, USA at the Rhinos Stadium. Top of the bill, Jarrell Big Baby Miller, 17-0 with the 1 draw going into this fight. He fought tough man, tricky, hard to hit clean, very ugly kind of style, Fred Cassie. We saw Fred Cassie in there with Hughie Fury in Hughie Fury's last fight, where he suffered a real bad cut and the fight had to be stopped and it went to scorecards, and Hughie Fury, I think, won every round. But, you know, he's very awkward, Fred Cassie. And Jarrell Miller, I haven't actually seen the fight. I've got to hold my hands up. I don't think that you could really watch it. I don't think it was televised, and it certainly wasn't televised over here. And, Jarrell Miller extends his win streak to 18-0, of course, with that 1 draw. And Fred Cassie retired on his stall after the 3rd round, so he didn't come out for the 4th. Again, I haven't actually seen it, so I don't really know what happened. I don't know if he got absolutely battered, and then Fred Cassie decided to give up. I'm not too sure, but we'll leave that there. But nonetheless, it's a good win for Jarrell Miller to actually get a stoppage win here. And Fred Cassie, his record at the moment, 18 wins, 6 losses and 1 draw. It's getting a little bit worse for him. We're now going to move over to the Wisconsin Center over in another part of America, of course. And we're going to start with the top of the bill fight. A guy that we've had on our show previous, real nice guy, Luis Arias. He went into his bout with a record of 15-0. He fought Daryl Cunningham, 33 wins, 8 losses. And Luis Arias extended his win streak with a real good knockout in the 4th round. So he now 16-0, and he picked up the vacant USBA middleweight title in this bout. Also on that bill, I didn't even know he was actually fighting on the bill until a little bit late. Carson Jones. He picked up a KO in round 2 over a man called Star Johnson. That's a good name there. And Carson Jones now 39 wins, 11 losses and 3 draws. But that's it for that one. We're now going to review the last fight of the review part of the show. As I said, there really hasn't been too much boxing on. This one happened over in Coney Island, New York, USA. Errol Spence Jr. 20-0 going into his fight against Leonard Bundu, 33-1 with the 2 draws. That one loss coming to the great Keith Thurman. Errol Spence Jr. extended his win streak to 21-0 with a KO in round 6. He had his man down twice in that round. The first time he kind of got up, I don't think he was really ready for the onslaught that was coming, and he was put down again, and it was a bit of a highlight reel knockout type of thing. He went down, he kind of, his head was on the ropes and then it just flopped to the floor and he banged his head on the canvas. It's not a pretty sight, but, it's a good knockout for Errol Spence. And I tell you what, he dealt with him in much better fashion than Keith Thurman did. So that's quite a good, a good name for his resume there. A lot of people not too sure with Errol Spence Jr. Is he the real deal? Is he not? A lot of people would say yes. And I think fights like this are definitely bringing in more believers fight by fight, to be honest. It was a good win. And, he looked really good. He won every round. It wasn't a close contest. And I thought it was going to be a little bit closer. I think that Bundu, when he shows up, he's very cagey. We've seen him in the United States of America, I believe, a couple of times now, just recently, with Thurman and Errol Spence, and he really hasn't looked too good. So again, he's very old. He's about 42 or something like that, and maybe it's time for him to hang up the gloves. But he's been a good fighter at sort of fringe European level, but when he steps up a bit higher, he doesn't tend to win. But that's really it for the reviewing. We're now going to go over to the funny fight segment. Again, last week we mentioned there's a guy called Philophilus Dudu. We thought he was fighting, and it turns out yet again his fight didn't actually take place. So I'm very sorry about this, because each week we keep talking about this guy as having the funniest name. It seems like his fights get pushed forward or pushed back a week every time. So he's been on a few shows where we've gone, yep, that's the funniest name this week, and he ends up not fighting. So we're going to ban him from this competition. There is going to be no more Dudu, and he's not going to be mentioned on any of our shows anymore unless he gets a world title fight, which I'm just going to probably throw it out there and say I don't think it's going to happen. I can't see Dudu being a world champion or nothing like that. But he's still yet to make his debut, which has been highly anticipated by us and the listeners of this podcast. So we're not going to mention him anymore. So he's completely banned. So there's no result really for his fight, unfortunately. But we're going to talk about the fighter, the funny name fighter of this week. It's a guy fighting over in Tanzania. I'm not sure how that's said. It's actually at a venue called the BM Fresh Pub. Okay, so there's about 10 fights on the bill. So in the other corner, there's a guy called Joyce Awino. 6 wins, 3 losses and 1 draw. And he's in an 8-rounder against, wait for it, a man called Happy Dude, who has a record of 0 wins, 1 loss and 0 draws. So only the 1 fight, and it was a loss. So we're really pulling for Happy Dude. Again, there's so many funny names. It's quite incredible. But Happy Dude, he's out there representing, and we're going to be backing him here. I really hope he can pull off the upset. As I said, he hasn't actually won a professional contest yet, but he's only had 1 fight. So all the best to Happy Dude. And we'll be very, very happy if on next week's show we announce that he's pulled off a good win. But that's really it for the funny name segment. That's it for the reviewing. There's one last thing to do before we bring on our first guest, and that is to bring in Ayaz with the news. We haven't had the news for the last couple of weeks because he's been absent. Ayaz, bring us up to speed.
David Price has just teamed up with MJ Marbella
Yeah, that's a very interesting move. It seems like a lot of guys are teaming up with these guys managerially, of course. That's not promotionally, but yeah, a lot of guys looking to MGM. That's the Matthew Macklin outfit, and it seems to be going well for their fighters. There's a couple of Scousers now, I believe, and he joins that list. So all the best for big man David Price.
Also, Luke Campbell will take on former British and Commonwealth lightweight champion Derry Matthews in Liverpool on October 15th.
Yeah, a good fight. A lot of people taking to Twitter to say how much of a good fight this is. I see it as a good fight as well, to be honest, as I think it's, a lot of people are not very sold on Luke Campbell. You know, he's been in two decent-ish fights. I don't want to say huge fights in within the last 12 months or so. Both times he's been put down. Now, one of them, he got up and won. That was his last fight. It was pretty impressive. I thought he dominated behind the jab. It was a good learning fight for him. But of course, he was down again. Now, we know that Derry Matthews can crack. We know that he actually beat Anthony Crolla. You know, I just think that it's a good fight. But I really think that if the Luke Campbell that we expect turns up, then I think he's going to win the fight. Is there any more news?
World heavyweight title challenger Derek Chisora has confirmed he will return to action in Stockholm on September 10th.
Yeah, that's a fight that I haven't really heard much about. I don't know who he's taking on, but it's a bit short notice. I mean, that's only about 3 weeks away, and I don't know if he's going to be landing a good fight, but I'd imagine he is if he's travelling for it. So I'm not sure who his opponent is. A first name that would come to mind would be Pulev, but I don't think that the rematch is going to happen. So I don't know who he's fighting, but my eyes will be peeled on that one, and hopefully he gets a little bit more active, because we do need to see that from Derek Chisora if he's going to stand any chance of getting back in that sort of world level picture. Any other news for us, Ayaz?
Eddie Hearn has confirmed Anthony Joshua's next fight will be on November 26, 2016.
Yeah, again, his opponent not been announced yet. A lot of people speculating it's not going to be at the O2 Arena. It'll be interesting to see where it's going to be. If that's not the case, I haven't seen it confirmed nor denied by the people in charge of Anthony Joshua, but hopefully he's in a good test. A lot of people don't think he's going to be in there with a real big name or anything like that, but hopefully we see him in there with a good fighter before the year's up. Is that it for us, Ayaz, for the news?
Yes, that's it for the news.
Okay, so that's the news part done. That is the funny name fighter done, and that is the review part of the show done. So before we end part one, there's one last thing to do, and that, of course, is to welcome our first guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former WBA, WBO, and IBF lightweight champion of the world, Mr. Juan Diaz. Juan, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on.
Hey, it's my pleasure to have you on. Now, I want to start with a bit of a typical boxing interview opener, Juan. How did it all begin? When was the first time that you put on a pair of gloves?
Well, the first time that I put on a pair of gloves was when I was 8 years old. I was a little fat boy who used to get in trouble and fight a lot, and had a lot of energy. And my father, he said that one day he would have a world champion if he ever had a son, and sure enough, I turned out to be his firstborn, a boy, and he said this is gonna be a world champion. So at the age of 8, I started fighting, and I wasn't any good. I would get punched in the belly, start crying, but as the years went on, I got better and better. I lost some weight, and started actually being pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, you turned pro in June 2000. 4 years later, you compiled a record of 24-0, 12 by knockout, 12 by decision. Then you step in the ring against Lakva Sim, a two-weight world champion. You beat him via unanimous decision after 12 rounds. You become the new WBA world lightweight champion. Now, your first offence is against two-time world champion Julian Lawsey. You beat him via unanimous decision after 12 rounds. No one had done that to him. He only had 3 losses on his resume at that time, 1 split decision and 2 majority decisions. After you beat him, he decides to retire from the sport. Now you defend your title for the second time, this time against world title challenger Billy Irwin. You become the only man to stop him when you knock him out in round 9. After you beat him, he decides to retire too. Now, at this point in your career, Juan, after these two defenses, how's things going?
Oh, things are going great. They're going fabulous. I'm, undefeated, a world champion, beating former world champions or contenders. So I'm very excited. I feel that I'm on top of the world, and nobody can stop me at that time.
No, absolutely not. Of course, you then have a non-title bout. You beat a guy by a knockout in round 5. Now we're in April of 2006, your third defense of your title. In the other corner is Jose Miguel Cotto, brother of the great Miguel Cotto. You're 28-0 here, and he's 27-0, both unbeaten. Somebody's O has got to go. If he wins, him and his brother become the only two Puerto Rican brothers to both become world champions. Not only that, but to both hold world titles at the same time. So tell us, Juan, did the Puerto Rican dream become reality?
Oh, absolutely not. It did not become reality. I put a stop to that. I went in there and we were both aggressive. I think in that fight, it was a 12-round fight. We threw over 1,000 punches in that fight, and I had a little extra pressure, and I loved it because it was on the undercard of Mayweather and Sab Judah. They were the main event that night. So, I was fighting at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. So it was the big show. And I was just very excited and very happy to be there. So I knew I had to put a show on for the fans.
Do you think that fight was kind of like, your career defining fight at that stage?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we had that fight, and then, that was what catapulted me to let the fans and the people know, and the networks, the boxing people know that, I could be able to be in there with the big boys and hold my own. So that fight right there gave me a big catapult to be the champion that I was during my time as champion.
Yeah, of course. And of course, you won that fight unanimously after 12 rounds. Then you make your fourth defense, this time against Randy Suiko. Suiko boasted a record of 24-2 at the time. One lost by a split decision, one lost by majority decision. You knock him out in the 9th round. You defend your belt the next time for the 5th time, and the 3rd time in the year of 2006, you face Fernando Angulo. Now, you beat him over 12 rounds unanimously. Now is where things, in my opinion, start really heating up. You get elevated to the WBA Super Champ, and on April the 28th, 2007, you put your WBA Super World title on the line against Acelino Freitas, a good fighter, the WBO champion as well. He puts his belt on the line also, a unification match for the WBA Super and the WBO lightweight world titles. Acelino Freitas going into this fight with a whopping record of 38 wins and 1 loss. The one loss to Diego Corrales in a close fight until Freitas quit in round 10. You were 31-0 at the time. This fight on paper is probably the hardest fight of your career thus far. Now, well, you better tell us about this fight, because this was a brilliant fight.
Yeah, it was one of those fights where a lot of people told me, no, don't do it. You're a young champion. I don't think you should do it. But, I knew that Acelino Freitas was not the one knockout punch artist that everybody was making him seem to be. I knew that at that time I was unstoppable. I mean, you just mentioned Randy Suiko, Jose Miguel Cotto, Laf Qasim, all these guys I had already fought and I had beat them. And, I knew that it was my time, that I had to do what it takes to be the super champion. So, at the time, I said, you know what, let's go for it. I said, the hell with it. I told my manager, let's do it. A lot of people are scared, don't think that I'm ready for him. I'm ready. So I went in there in the first round, and I took his best punch, and I didn't even feel it. I said, wow, this guy is not the monster that they make him out to be. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna take it to him. So from the first round, I took it to him, and I started to wear him out, and he saw that I took his best punches. And I'm not a power puncher, everybody knows that, but the multiple punches and just wearing him down, and I eventually got him out of there.
Yeah, the pressure was tremendous in that fight.
Yeah.
You were winning that fight, obviously, on all three judges' scorecards, and in the 8th round, Freitas decides not to get off his stool. So you're now the WBA Super and the WBO Lightweight World Champion. I'll continue with the journey. You have yet another unification fight. Not many fighters in the sport today would like to fight 2 unifications in a row, let me tell you. You fight Julio Diaz. Now, Julio Diaz is obviously the IBF Lightweight Champion. Julio retires on his stool. So both guys who you unified with both retired on their stool, which is quite remarkable. You're now the WBA Super, WBO and IBF Lightweight World Champion. So firstly, how did it feel to have achieved all this, to hold 3 belts, to go through your whole career at this point undefeated with a record of 33-0?
Actually, I think beating Julio Diaz was probably the best one because, he was talking a lot of crap and he really got under my skin. And, I told him, look, I told him and everybody in his face, I said, Julio Diaz is a phony Diaz. He's not the real Diaz. So that's why I felt especially good to beat him when I did and the way I did, made him quit. So, I showed everybody that he was a phony Diaz, that I was the real Diaz, that was a true champion. And that's why it was especially nice to beat him and make him quit the way I did.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, would you say at this time, after achieving all this, would you say that any of your hunger or any of your desire might have left you at this point at all?
After that fight, no. I thought, after that fight, I was on top of the world. I actually got a little cocky. I think that's what happened. Moving forward, I got a little cocky, and I thought that I was invincible. I was that nobody was gonna beat me. So, I got a little too cocky.
Yeah. Now, obviously, your next fight, you're defending all 3 of your belts against Nate Campbell, who you possibly overlooked a little, to be honest. You get handed your first career loss on a split decision after 12 rounds and you lose your belts. How hard was it to go back to the drawing board and regroup and come back again after that loss one?
Well, I think, it was especially tough because I don't think it was so much of Nate Campbell he was that good. I think the promotional issues that I had with Don King, I think that's what caused me to lose all my belts, was the fact that I had too many issues with Don King. And going into that fight, I signed the contract the night before the fight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was the night before the fight when I signed the contract, and I actually everything was good and ready to go.
Now, obviously, after this loss, as I say, it was only a split decision loss, but you was only out the ring for 6 months. Then you're straight back in again against the former WBO interim world champion, Michael Katsidis. You beat him via split decision after 12 rounds. So that's a great fight to bounce back into. Then you get your shot at your old WBA and WBO belts against the now champion Juan Manuel Marquez. A close fight where one judge had you winning, one judge had Marquez winning, and one judge had it a draw at the time of the stoppage. You were knocked out in that fight in round 9. Tell us about that fight a little bit, Juan. I know it was, it was really the sort of biggest loss at that point. It was your second loss. The other loss was a split decision. This was a knockout. How was it dealing with this? How was the fight looking back, and of course the backlash of it all?
That fight was actually the one that broke my heart. Not even the Nate Campbell loss was as devastating as that Juan Manuel Marquez fight. The Marquez fight was a devastating loss because I put all my heart and soul into it. Against Nate Campbell, like I said, I got cocky. I thought I was invincible. Then I had problems with Don King. Serious problems that. I wasn't focused. I was cocky, but I wasn't focused at the same time. And with Marcus, I believed in my heart that I was going to win that night here in 2009 in Houston, Texas. I knew that I was going to win, and I was going to go to bigger and better things and just be the man again. The loss against Nate Campbell was going to be erased by me beating Marcus, but it didn't happen. So, that's where my fire. I started to lose the fire that I had for boxing.
Yeah, but once again, you're only out of the ring for 6 months, and then you're back in again with another former world champion. This time in the shape of Paulie Malignaggi. You beat him unanimously. You have a rematch, then he beats you unanimously. Now we're in July of 2010. You have a rematch against Juan Manuel Marquez for your old WBA and WBO world titles. You lose this fight this time round unanimously after 12. Walk us through that fight, Juan. It seemed to be a bit more of a switched on you from the 2000 from the previous fight that you guys had in 2009. Yeah, just talk us through that fight if you can.
Well, I like I mentioned in 2009, he took some of the fire that I had to fight and to win, and in that fight, my strategy was, okay, I can't beat him in a straight fight. So I'm going to fight him. I'm going to box him. I'm going to be smart and box him. And that didn't work out either. So towards some points of the fight, I tried to fight him and go toe-to-toe with him. And it didn't work. That plan didn't work. So what I did was I tried to outbox him towards the end. It didn't happen. And then it's one of those things where I lost, and it just, to be honest with you, I just completely lost all the fire in me that I had to fight and to win. So that's when I said, you know what? If I can't beat the best and I'm not the best, then I don't want to do this, and I'm not going to fight anymore.
Yeah, I mean, obviously losing to a man like Juan Manuel Marquez is no shame anyway. He's a fantastic fighter. He's even gone on from that to achieve spectacular stuff. Obviously, subsequently to that fight, you decided to retire. You were out of the ring for over 2.5 years. Juan, what made you decide to return to boxing?
Well, like I mentioned before, Juan Manuel Marquez turned off that fire that I had to fight, and then he relit that fire. 2 years I was retired, and I did not see any boxing. Didn't even do any type of exercise, no cardio, no boxing, no. I was just fed up with boxing. And then a friend of mine called me, and a doctor friend of mine, he loves to go to Vegas, and he said, look, they got the Marquez and Pacquiao fight. Can you, let's go. And I said, you know what the hell, doc? Let's go. I'll go with you. So he knew I had the connections to get us in the fight. He wanted to get in the fight, and I said, all right, let's go. So we went to Vegas. We fought there, and we fought. We went to see the fight, and we were hanging out, having a good time. And when Marquez knocks out Manny Pacquiao, the whole arena is silent. You could hear mosquitoes and flies roaming around the arena. And so then, somebody else would have gotten scared on that moment. They would have said, the hell with that. I'm done with boxing. I'm good. I'm glad I retired. But in that moment when that happened, that fire relit inside of me, and it has not stopped burning since. I said, man, I cannot believe this old man beat me. At the time, Marcus was 35 and I was 37 and I was 27. So I said, I cannot believe Marcus beat me. This old man beat me. So I said, I got to come back. I was 29 at the time, and I said, I still have a lot more to give to the sport, and this cannot be the end. So, that's when I decided to put the gloves back on and start going at it 100%.
And of course, you returned to the ring on April the 13th, 2013. You fought 3 times that year, 2 knockout wins and 1 by unanimous decision. 2 more unanimous decision wins in 2014. No fights for 2015, but most recently 2 fights this year. A knockout inside 9 rounds back in March and a knockout inside 8 rounds just 2 weeks ago. 7 wins out of 7 since your comeback. Juan, first question about this. How did the fight go the other week? I know that you got the stoppage in the 8th round, but I haven't seen any footage at all.
Well, I'm, now I'm just very happy and excited that, 2 weeks ago, August 6th, I have to say that I faced a pretty decent opponent, and he had a good punch, he had a good punch, and I was able to take all his punches and finally get him out of there. So I'm very, very excited because I didn't get tired, and the beauty about it is that I feel the way I did when I was fighting Marcelino Freitas, Julio Diaz, and all these guys, and I was able to put them away. That's exactly how I felt against Vasquez on 2 weeks ago, August 6th in Tucson, Arizona. I was able to see punches. I was able to turn away from punches, block punches. I'm starting to see punches in slow motion again, as I did in 2005, 2006. So I'm very excited and very happy to be in this comeback show and be able to get these guys out of there like I used to. I don't knock them out with one punch, but I'll wear them out. I'll hit them enough that they get tired of the punches, and I get them out of there.
I want to sort of ask what's next for you. What is next? Because obviously, this comeback thing now. You've come back in 2013. It's been just over 3 years since that time. You've had the 7 fights. What is next? Are we going to see a big fight soon? If so, when is that likely to happen?
Well, I'm hoping that I fight again this year. I've been speaking with my promoters and about possibly fighting. In the Manny Pacquiao undercard, and we already expressed the interest to fight Flanagan.
Wow.
We're gonna wait. That's we reached out to Top Rank and we told them that we wanna fight Flanagan. That we would love the chance to fight him. He was scheduled to do his mandatory against Verdejo, and Verdejo, as we know, got hurt. So I'm telling Top Rank that I am willing to step up to the plate and replace, Verdejo and fight Flanagan for the title. And I haven't got an answer yet. So I'm hoping that pretty soon that can happen and we'll be there for my 5th world title.
Yeah, that will be huge. I really hope that does happen. Another thing I want to ask you, there's a lot of guys in boxing that have had a brilliant career, like yourself, won a bunch of titles. They retire for a while and then they run into, financial issues. They return to the ring. It's not. I mean, I don't really know the case for you financially outside the ring. I know you've got a lot of ventures going on aside from boxing. Is that not the case here? Because I know that you're still young. A lot of people actually forget how young you are. You just turned pro so early, and you were, world champion in your early 20s. So, how are you doing outside of the ring? Are you back? You're not back for financial gain, I don't think at all. No.
No, not at all. I actually have my own trucking company. I have 20 trucks running, and actually, to be honest with you, I make more money on a weekly basis than I do for my last 7 fight, my last comeback fights since 2013. So I'm not doing it for the financial game. I'm doing it for that 5th world title and to really leave a legacy for me and in the history books, and I can have my children and family proud of me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best reason and the only reason that will work. Also, I got to ask you this, to be honest. It's a bit of a bizarre question. You must have probably been asked this a bunch of times in your career. How are you still able to make lightweight? Because you've been really making it for 15 years without stopping, really. How have you been able to do it? Especially with the hiatus for 2.5 years out of the ring. You come back, you still can make lightweight. It's remarkable.
Yeah, it's I get that question a lot. But, the way I guess I can say it is that I could fight at a lower weight, and I could have gone up to lightweight or maybe 140, but this is the weight that I'm comfortable with. I'm not a big guy. I'm a medium-sized guy, and I don't gain a lot of weight. I eat healthy. My family is my father has diabetes and cholesterol problems, so the doctor told me that I have potentially I could have cholesterol and diabetes. So I always watch myself. I eat the right things. I eat the right foods so that I can stay healthy. And by eating the right foods, then I don't gain a lot of weight. And I think that's why I've been able to stay at the weight that I am now.
Yeah, because it really, that's like, there's no other fighters that I can think of that can remain in the same weight category for such a long period of time. It's quite incredible, I want to ask you now a couple of sort of quick fire, funny, well, not funny, but a little bit less serious questions. Some interesting questions. Some funner questions. That's the right word. Who would you say?
Yeah.
Who would you say, Juan, is the best fighter that you've ever sparred with? We know that you've been in the ring professionally. You've fought a lot of top names in the sport. Who would you say is the best fighter that you've ever sparred with?
Well, that is an easy question because even to this day, I still spar with him. And it's a local guy. I mean, if he ever reads this or hears this, he might not like it, but, his name is Linares Lane. Linares Lane is a fighter who's had maybe 6 professional fights, I think, altogether. And no, I'm not gonna lie. He had about 15 fights, lost 2 or 3 of them. And I'm gonna tell you, this guy is by far one of the best fighters in the world, to me, in the world. He's junior welterweight, but now he's he doesn't fight anymore. He just hangs around the gym and just spars all these guys. He's at 147 now, and he still spars with me. He still helps me. And that guy, Linares Lane, is the one that I attribute all my championship wins to, because he's the one that actually got me in shape for every championship fight and still gives me in shape for every fight. This guy, I mean, we go to war. Every time we fight, we go to war. And he's one of those guys where he can step in there and spar a lightweight, or he can spar a middleweight, and he does just as good. He's a guy that he's a gym fighter, so he can hang in there with the best. You can put a world champion in there, and he will give him hell. But when it comes to him fighting in a fight and being under those bright lights and being the center of attention, he folds, and he basically doesn't do anything. You would think that this is a guy that's never done it or can't even fight. That's how bad he looks. He doesn't do anything. But when you put him in the ring, in the gym, wow, he's phenomenal. He's fast. He's like a junior Mayweather. That's what I would call him, a junior Mayweather. He has fast hands, reflexes, everything. But under the lights, he can outperform.
Wow, that is strange. It's a good job I asked you that, because he gets a bit of exposure there, some well-deserved exposure as well.
Oh yeah. And I tell him, I tell him straight to his face, Linares, you're the reason why I became champion, and you're the reason why I'm going to become champion again.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, another question I want to throw at you: who would you say has been your toughest fight professionally?
Well, I guess you could call Marcus my toughest fight. But in our reality, the guy has been, his name is Ubaldo Hernandez, guy from Mexico City. I beat him back in, I think it was, what was it? Back in my early age, I think it was my 9th fight where I fought him in. And, he's one of those guys where he's real slow, but man, he hits like a truck. You feel like you're in a car accident when you go against him.
I was going to ask you who's the hardest puncher you've been in with. So would you say it's this guy?
By far, Ubaldo Hernandez. If you look him up, he's one of those guys, a journeyman. I guess what you call journeyman. And this guy, man, he hit me so hard that to this day, only reason I remember that fight is because it was on Showtime and I watched it. I've watched it a few times, but that's how hard he hit me that I don't even remember. Round 2 through 10. Oh no, 8. We went 8 rounds. Yep.
Okay. Now I want to ask you. I want to, if you can, I wanted to ask you your top 5 pound for pound fighters in boxing today. If you can give me 5 names in any particular order.
Yeah, but I would have to say, Floyd Mayweather is number 1.
Yeah.
He's the best fighter in the world. And then you have to say Andre Ward is right there with him, number 2. And then you have Triple G. He's one of the best fighters in the world. And then you have Rigondeaux, who's also a great fighter. Yeah, and you got Terrence Crawford on there as well. Those guys, they're really, really good fighters.
Yeah, it's a solid top 5 that. You can't really disagree with that. I mean, you can't really swap that around. I mean, Lomachenko's a great fighter as well. But
Lomachenko, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, man. There's so much going on right now. And I wanted to get your opinion on a fight coming up very, very soon. Obviously, we know that Anthony Crolla, the holder of your old WBA belt, he takes on Jorge Linares, a real good fighter. A lot of people say the number one fighter in the lightweight division. How do you see that fight playing out, Juan?
Man, I've seen Anthony Crolla. He's a good fighter, and if Anthony Crolla can put the pressure on Linares and kind of pressure him, then I think he would be good. I've seen Linares, when they pressure him, he doesn't do really good on the pressure, but he is a great boxer, and he can box his butt off. So if Anthony Corolla's not careful, Linares will I'll box him all night, and I'll beat him by boxing him. So what Crolla has to do is put a lot of pressure if he wants to win.
Yeah, I agree.
He has to put a lot of pressure. Yeah, if not, like I said, Linares is gonna box his ears off.
Yeah, real good fighter. Really, really one that I'm definitely looking forward to. And I just want to. We're kind of approaching now the last couple of things I've got to ask you, really. Before I get onto them, I just wanted to ask you if there's anything that you wanna get across, if there's anything that you want to get off your chest, anything that you want to say that perhaps some of the listeners may not know.
I just want to, I want to say that I'm here to stay. I'm here to stay in the lightweight division. A lot of people think that I don't have it anymore, but I think I've proven myself in these 7 comeback fights that I'm for real. And I'm here to stay, and that I am going to become world champion again. So that's all I want to say. That the world champions right now, the ones that are world champions, some of them may try to run from me and avoid me, but this world's not big enough. I'm eventually gonna catch up to them and find them and beat them.
Yeah, of course. Now, the last real question I've got for you, Juan, is I must ask this question to you. I have to ask this to every fighter that we speak to from overseas. Who is your favourite UK fighter, past or present, of all time?
Oh man, I'm gonna go with my boy Ricky Hatton. He's by far one of my greatest fighters that I look up to. Even though you had great fighters in who was it? Who's that other guy that was undefeated? He retired undefeated, wasn't he?
Joe Kawasaki.
Yeah, there you go, Joe Kawasaki. Yep. He was a great fighter as well, but I think I got to give it to Ricky Hatton because he's the one that brought the people the excitement, and I mean I'm getting excited just thinking about the fight that he gave us. It was real. He was a real phenomenal guy and a phenomenal champion when he was champion. And I got to say, he gave us our money's worth every time he fought.
Yeah, you cannot disagree with that. Absolutely. One of the most popular answers, to be honest, that one. Now I just want to give you an opportunity just to send out a message to any of your UK supporters, your UK fans. When I said that we were going to be speaking with you, a lot of guys got very excited. There's a lot of fans of yourself over here. So if you want to send out a message to any of your UK fans, please do so.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to personally thank all the fans from the UK, because I know that I got a lot of supporters in the UK. I know that they supported me for years. I know from my social media, from Twitter, that a lot of UK fans have sent me personal messages and on my news feed about how much they support me and how much they love my style. So, I said it in the past and I'll say it again. If I have to go to the UK and fight one of these guys, let's say Anthony Crolla happens to beat Linares, or Flanagan wants to fight me and he wants to do the fight in the UK, so be it. I'm willing to go because I know I have fans there, and I know I'm not going to be the favorite, but I know I'm going to have those few supporters that are behind me. And regardless, I've seen how the UK fans are, and they're very supportive. They just want an entertaining fight. I know I'm not going to go over there and get tomatoes thrown at me and, all kinds of stuff. The UK fans are very respectful, and I know all they want is a great fight. And if I go down there to the UK and fight one of those guys, I know that we're gonna have a great fight between the two of us, and the people that are gonna win are gonna be the people from the UK, because we're gonna give them a great fight.
Absolutely, it'd be really excellent. I hope one of those fights does land for you, because we'd welcome you over here with open arms, believe me. Right, listen, Juan, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you, my friend. One of the best fighters that we've had on our show, if I'm being honest. I wish you all the best for the future, and hopefully we'll speak again soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for taking the time to give me a call, and for letting all the fans, not only from the U.S. and the U.K., but all over the world, know that the baby bull is back. He has 100% fire inside of him, and I will become champion of the world once again.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the preview part. Again, there's only 2 fights to mention. Well, 2 cards to mention. It's kind of like 2 or 3 fighters on one card and 1 or 2 fighters on another card. So it's going to be really, really short. As I said before, really not too much boxing going on throughout the month of August. We're going to start over in California, USA at the Honda Center. Top of the bill, former Danny Garcia foe, Mr. Robert the Ghost Guerrero. His record at the moment, 33 wins, 4 losses and 1 draw. And in the other corner, he faces David Emmanuel Peralta, 25 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw. It's a 10-rounder at welterweight. Robert Guerrero's opponent, Mr. David Emmanuel Peralta, of his 28 professional fights, they've all been in Argentina. Of his 2 losses, he's been knocked out on 1 occasion. And as I said, he's fought his whole career in Argentina. It's his first fight in the United States of America. He hasn't really fought anybody. So I think this is going to probably be a good fight, because Robert Guerrero is always in good fights. It's going to probably be a tiny bit of a war for some of it, but it's one he's definitely going to win. And he's going to, win it well. And he's going to probably outman him and out-tough him and probably even stop him late. I think that the Robert Guerrero of today is well over the hill. He's not the man he used to be, and he's just probably trying to get one more crack at the title, but I really think he's got nothing else to prove. I think he was a good fighter in his day. He's had a few losses now to guys that I don't think would have beaten him a couple years before, and it is what it is, to be totally honest. But yeah, he gets out again, and as I say, it'll probably be an interesting fight, and it's always a good watching Robert Guerrero. But also on that card, Alfredo Angulo, 24 wins and 5 losses. He faces Freddy Hernandez, 33 wins and 8 losses. This is probably the fight of the card, if we're being completely honest. It's a 10-rounder at super middleweight. And what more can I say about it? That's probably the most interesting fight on the card. Alfredo Angulo, tough guy. And Freddy Hernandez, been in some good fights as well. So that one's probably the best fight of the bill. Also on the card, undefeated Terrell Gulsha, former 2012 Olympian. His record at the moment, 18-0. He takes on Steven Martinez, 16-2. So both guys around the same sort of records. Both guys, I'd go as far as to say that Gulsha is a prospect, but Steven Martinez, not so much. And this is going to be a decent fight. It's good to see 2 guys, 18 fights into their pro careers, to cross paths. And of course, if Gulsha wins, which he's expected to win, then he'll bounce on to bigger and better things. This is a 10-rounder in the middleweight division. But that's it for California. We're now going to go over to Washington, Pennsylvania, USA at the Meadows Racetrack and Casino, top of the bill. And again, a former foe of Danny Garcia, Rod Salka. Now, before, he probably wouldn't have got a mention, to be honest, but everybody criticises Danny Garcia for fighting Rod Salka because he was so poor. But we're going to mention him here. He's in an 8-rounder at lightweight, and he faces Wilbert Lopez. So Wilbert Lopez, 15-5. Rod Salka, 22-4. Again, it's probably going to be a bit of a bore fest, but you never know. So best of luck to Rod Salka, to be honest. Best of luck to him. But the main reason why I'm mentioning this card, because because there's a fight on the undercard, a guy that we've been waving his flag for quite a while now. We've been bigging him up over here to the UK fans and to the US fans as well. Devin Haney, 8-0 at the moment. He takes on Carlos Castillo, 4 wins and 3 losses. It's only a 6-rounder in the lightweight division. You know, Devin Haney's only 8 fights into his professional career, but big things are expected of him. So yeah, you know, it's not going to be, you know, a great fight to watch, but it's going to be one that he's going to dominate and win and probably pick up a stoppage. A real good fighter to watch there. I've said it many times about Devin Haney, but that's really it for the preview part of the show. So before we end part 2, there's one last thing to do, and that of course is to welcome our second guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of the hottest prospects in the super middleweight division, Mr. J. Leon Love. J. Leon, welcome to the show.
What's going on, boss? I appreciate you having me.
No, it's my pleasure, my man. It's my pleasure. Now, I want to start with the first question. I want it to be, just for some of the listeners that may not know too much about you, could you give us a little bit of a backstory, just in a nutshell, where it all began, your amateur career until you turned pro? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my career, first started when I was in Detroit. I grew up in Detroit, boxing out of Crunk Gym. You know, it's famously known from all the great fighters like Tommy Hearns, Milton McCoy, Steve McCoy, you know, so on and so forth, and the Emmanuel Stewart. So that's when my career started. You know, I had a huge amateur background as far as national champions. You know, being a national champion in several different tournaments, and you know, representing the United States in different duels and amateur tournaments around the world. So I mean, you know, that's what all started. I mean, like most people, you know, I did a pretty stellar amateur career. And, you know, here I am as a professional now, you know, in the top ranks in in different sanctioned bodies.
Yeah, you're doing pretty well, but you had a brilliant amateur career, by the way. So you turned pro in 2010. You've been very active since then, to be honest. Of course, you signed with Mayweather Promotions a few years back. Mm-hmm. How is that working out for you?
Mayweather Promotions is great, man. You know, it's steady growing. You know, you're getting a lot of young and great upcoming fighters, man. The stable is definitely growing. You know, I don't really know too many of the newer fighters, but it seems like they're bringing some definite heat to the game. So, it's great on my end. I love it. You know, obviously, you know, we're blessed to be signed with Mayweather Promotions, you know, Floyd Mayweather's promotion company, and, you know, being managed by a great manager like as Al Hammond. So, you know, I can't really complain. I'm definitely in the best hands in the business.
Yeah, for sure. And what is it like to have one of the best boxers ever, really, behind you every step of the way?
Oh, man, I mean, obviously, you know, boxing is a business, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, he's taught me that boxing as a business is great. You know, it feels great to have, you know, a guy such as Floyd Mayweather, you know, behind you. But not only that, you don't want to disappoint. You know, you definitely want to, you know, stand up to the expectations that he and other people have for you. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's at the same time, you know, it's what we love to do. So, you know, you definitely want to go out and showcase your talent the way you're supposed to.
Absolutely. Now, I just want to touch on the Mayweather gym. Comparing that gym to any other gyms that you might have visited, I know that the Mayweather gym is like the mecca of boxing gyms. How brilliant is that gym? How good is it to be able to train in such a brilliant environment?
Oh, I mean, a gym is a gym. You know what I'm saying? As long as it has a ring and a bag for me and a speed bag or whatever, you know, it's not really the gym itself. It's the fighters that make the gym. Obviously, starting off with Floyd Mayweather, it's his gym, you know. And then obviously the name that it has, you know, the reputation that it has. You know, you got different fighters that come to look for an opportunity, so you never know who you will have walking through the door. So, you know, you got a really unlimited amount of work, a lot of sparring, and different guys from different places all over around the world. So you never really know who you may be in the ring with, you know what I mean? So I think that's what makes it good. You know, you got a lot of different fighters from all over who are attracted to this gym.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I did want to ask you about the sparring. Obviously, Mayweather himself, a lot of his fighters, like some of the other notable names that he works with, they're all kind of at lower weights. How is it? Because you're one of his heaviest guys, I understand. How are you finding sparring? Do you spar a lot of good fighters in the gym?
Oh man, I spar a lot of great fighters. My thing is I like to go where the work is. It doesn't matter. I may go over to Detroit if I need sparring at World's Best Boxing Gym. I may go over right down the street from Floyd Mayweather's gym to it's a gym called Fight Capital with a lot of good work there. A lot of good guys comes there. Hey, I may go over to Top Rank and get some work. It don't matter. We go wherever, so wherever I can to get the work. We don't hesitate to go wherever to get sparring.
Absolutely. That's the right mentality to have. And I want to ask you, Jay Leon, what is Floyd like as a person? I know that you kind of always hear mixed opinions on him. However, I know that he's reportedly quite generous. I know that he bought Ashley Theophane a car previously. Has he bought you any gifts at all?
Man, I done got everything. Listen, Floyd has bought me a lot. You know what I'm saying? He's helped me with my family. He's done a lot for me. I can point out every piece of thing that he's done for me, man. Floyd is a genuine individual who definitely cares about your well-being.
Yeah.
And people don't know him. They only see an image from TV or get a certain image from TV. But I know him personally, man. And I mean, the dude would give you anything if you need it. Like I said, it is a business. Boxing is a business, but that's my friend. You know what I mean? Floyd is my friend. I have his back. He always has my back. That's one person that I can say, man, I would definitely appreciate. He's given me endless opportunity. And even still now, we still cool and, we still, see and talk, crack up, man. Hey, it's definitely a genuine individual.
Yeah, that's good to hear, man. That is good to hear. He's misunderstood sometimes, and obviously, it's unfair, really. But in the UK recently, we've heard a lot back and forth about a proposed fight between you and Rocky Fielding. Could you tell us how that all came about and why the fight hasn't been made yet?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, man, I'm not a promoter. I'm not a manager. I'm not none of that. I'm just a fighter. I would fight Rocky Fielding any day of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It don't matter. Rocky Fielding is not anyone I'm worried about. I respect every fighter that gets in there. At the end of the day, it's not anything I say. I can't say anything bad about Rocky Fielding. First off, I don't know Rocky Fielding. I send my respects to him as far as, a fighter, period. So I don't care about Rocky Fielding. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm a different type of person, man. We grew up in two different worlds. At the end of the day, Rocky Fielding is no threat to me, even in the ring. So at the same time, you know what I'm saying? He's good for the UK. He's really nothing impressive to me. That's just me being honest. Outside of that, the fight hasn't been made because I'm not stupid. First off, I'm not going to go anywhere and fight a guy in their hometown or wherever for some change, some change. So maybe they need to reevaluate who they make offers to and what kind of offers they make to a fighter. So that's just it. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing well for myself, and at the end of the day, I'm not around a dummy, and I don't make dumb decisions. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, the things that they've sent my way is kind of stupid, and it's kind of a laugh that I would laugh. Maybe not for another fighter that would take that, but it's just not for me.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, in your heart of hearts, do you see this fight actually happening in the future at all? And would it only happen in the US as well?
I wouldn't give. Listen, man, I'm a real blunt type of person. I wouldn't give a fuck about fight Rocky Fielding in a parking lot of a Walmart. I don't give a damn. As long as the shit is right. You know what I'm saying? I don't. It has to make sense. Things have to make sense. I don't have to just fight a person to fight him. Rocky Fielding that's not a guy that puts a a threat to me at all. He's green to me. I watched him against that Rebaz guy. That dude is green. He's good over there. He's fighting guys from over there. That dude is good for there. He ain't good. I'm not a person that he gonna be able to hit like that, man. Rocky Fielding is really not that good to me. And I'm just being real. I don't know what y'all think of him over there, but over here, man, come on, man. That dude is almost garbage to me. And I'm not trying to shit on him like that. I'm just keeping it real. Rocky Fielding is. We can talk about somebody else, honestly, because Rocky Fielding is nothing to me.
Okay. No, I mean he's thought of. He's a good fighter. You know, his stocks have kind of gone down a little bit.
He's good for the UK.
Since being knocked out by Callum Smith, everybody's kind of jumped off the ship.
Listen, that happens. We're not even talking about him being knocked out. Right? That's part of boxing. People sit here and speak on a fighter getting knocked out. That don't mean shit. The greats have been knocked out. Tommy Hearns have been knocked out. Shit, Lennox Lewis was knocked out. A lot of great fighters have been knocked out. At the end of the day, that don't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? Shit, you get in there and most of the people that say this fighter ain't good, he got knocked out by this person, don't know nothing because they ain't ever been hit before. They don't know what it is to be hit. They don't know what it is to run miles and wake up in the morning and eat right and grind and sacrifice this, that, and the other. They don't know. So who cares what people say about me or a Rocky Fielding or any other boxer that was knocked out? That makes zero sense to a person that doesn't matter to the sport, especially if they just a fan or a critic. That don't matter. You got critics that sit behind a computer that weigh 290 pounds and don't do nothing but get on a computer. So that don't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you can't really, if styles make fights and one guy has to be the better guy that night. And at the end of the day, Callum Smith was the better guy. When I got stopped, the guy I fought was the better guy. So that's just part of boxing. You know what I'm saying? You win some, you lose some. At the end of the day, I lost one, he lost one. And at the end of the day, hey, he's 22 or whatever, and we damn near got the same record. I don't flaw. That's not a flaw that I look at. Oh, he got knocked out by this guy. Hey, you get hit across that chin the right way, no matter who you are, you will go down.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah. So in one word, do you think the fight may happen in the future, yes or no?
Maybe the future. Hopefully it can. I mean, I would love to get that to the UK fans and then go over there and straight smash that motherfucker and then come back here and then I say, I told you so. You know what I'm saying? I would love to do that. And that's just me, and that's me being respectful.
Wow. Okay.
That's me. I don't listen, man. This is fighting, man. I don't care about these people, man. I don't care if my job is to get in there, display my talent, do the best I can, and go out there. I don't have no heart for nobody. I don't care about a Rocky Fielding, a Rocky Lockridge, or Rocky nothing. So it don't really matter to me.
Okay. Now, have you got a fight penciled in for the 16th of September?
Yeah, I fight the 16th. Yeah, that's for sure. I fight a guy.
Deshaun Johnson.
Deshaun Johnson. It's a guy I'm about to fight. I don't know.
He's he's a lot better than his record suggests. He's been matched very, very tough. I was going to ask you, what do you expect from him on fight night, and what can we expect from you?
Nothing. You just expect everything from me. That's it.
Okay,
Nothing.
I'll leave that question there.
Yeah, that's it. Nothing. Yeah.
Now, of course, Floyd promotes both yourself and Badu Jack. I imagine you're both quite close friends, but is that a fight that would never happen? Is that a fight that would never happen?
I don't see it happening. You know, Badu is on a different route right now, and I'm on a different route right now. Congrats to Badu Jack, super middleweight champion of the world, WBC super middleweight champion of the world, and that's my brother, and I'm happy for him. At the end of the day, we moving on to fighting another person.
Yeah, for sure. And if he takes on the UK's very own James DeGale, how do you see that fight going down?
I hope it's a good fight, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to always back my guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to always, you know what I'm saying, hope for Badu to be victorious. James DeGale is a brilliant fighter, very good fighter. Very, 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 very good fighter. He has a lot of knowledge, a very intelligent fighter. And, you know, it's definitely, you know, a good matchup for a great fight. So I'm looking forward to it and being there. And, you know, hopefully both guys go ahead and go ahead and put it all on the line like boxers should.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Now, I know that you made a comment. It kind of got a bit blown out of proportion. But what happened, just in a nutshell, what happened with Chris Eubank Sr.? What was all that about?
Oh, he's a pussy, bro. I don't care who's offended by it, but he is, bro. I just don't like him. You know what I'm saying? I don't like him. I'm sure I ain't the only one that don't like him. I don't like him. It's not Chris Eubank Jr. It's his dad. I don't like his dad, Chris Eubank, not his junior. I don't even talk to Junior. I never really exchanged words with him ever. I don't really say hi to him or nothing, you know. But I don't like his dad. His dad is a fucking pussy. That's what he is.
How did that all start? What did he say? Was he disrespectful?
He was disrespectful. I took my loss. You know what I'm saying? And right after my loss, we had an event. Floyd had an event. I think it was an appreciation dinner. And he told me, he walked up to me, and obviously I know boxing, so I know who Chris Eubank is. He walked up to me and he said, "Why are you here?" I looked at him like, "Excuse me." You know, first off, I don't want to be disrespectful. So, I really wanted to make sure that's what I heard. Why am I here? Why am I here? So I said, "Why are you here?" He says, "Well, a real fighter wouldn't show up to this event after losing." And I was like,
wow.
What? Like, yeah. So I'm like, he said, a real fighter will go right back to the gym. He said, a real fighter will go right back to the gym and train and wouldn't be here. And so I took offense to that, and he came at me real wrong. I really would have smacked the shit out of him, but obviously that wasn't the place or the time, because that's not what type of person I am or try to be. I try to leave that shit alone. But he was disrespectful, man. He came at me real wrong, so that's why I don't like him, and that's why I made the comment, and that's how I feel about him. I don't like him at all.
Well, after hearing what happened there, I think you're entitled to that opinion.
But it's nothing toward the son, though. I mean,
yeah.
If the son got a problem, if the son got feelings for it, then fuck him too. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, you know what I'm saying? It ain't had nothing to do. It ain't had nothing to do with the son. It was the father. That's why I said what I said, because I took offense to that.
Yeah. No, so, you've got a point.
Most people don't. Yeah. Most people don't know, though. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's good.
Now, the last couple of questions I'm going to ask you, just a couple of kind of like funner sort of questions. I just want to ask you, who is the best fighter that you've sparred with?
I sparred with a lot of good fighters, man. I really can't tell you who the best is.
Any top three or anything like that?
I spar with the Darrells. They're both great fighters.
Yeah, for sure.
I spar with so many, man. It's crazy, man. First off, I grew up in a gym where everybody could fight. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to put a finger on just the best or the top three. I mean, I sparred guys all over the world. You know what I'm saying? They've all been good work. So I would say, let me think about it. I would say that both Darrells, Anthony and Andre, they're both really good, talented fighters. I mean, just my gym period. When I was young, I was coming up with like a Cornelius Bundridge. I was coming up with a lot of those rough guys. So, it's kind of hard to really put my finger on it, man. Kermit Cintron, I was young. I was small, sparring these big punchers and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Floyd Mayweather would have to definitely be one.
Okay.
Yeah, so there you go. That's my top three.
when you spar with Mayweather, obviously there's the weight difference. It's quite big. Do you really go for it when you're sparring each other, or is it not so much?
Yeah, it's punching. Somebody punching you and you attempting to punch him. So yeah, I've never been in the ring to spar halfway or at a medium. I don't do that. I spar full-fledged, you know what I'm saying? Especially if somebody's doing the same toward me. So, you know what I'm saying? It's just 100%. So yeah, of course.
Okay. And I want to ask you now, who's your favourite fighter to watch? I'm not sure if you watch a lot of boxing, but at the moment, who do you like to watch the most?
Is right now?
Yeah, as of right now.
Right now, I like Earl Spence, very good fighter.
Yeah, definitely. Good win the other day.
I like Kell Brook, a very good fighter.
Kell Brook, got a huge fight coming up.
Brook, Kell Brook. I like the dude that just won, came over here and won. What's his name? Beat the Mexican kid.
Can't even think now.
Yeah, he just won the belt.
Oh, he won a title.
Yeah, he won a belt.
Carl Frampton.
The Frampton fight. Yeah, Frampton. Yeah. I like watching him.
Yeah, good fight.
Let me see. Dominique Dalton.
Okay.
I like watching. Tony Harrison. I like watching Eric Lubin. Who else?
You've already given me about 10 names, man. That's all right.
Yeah, I can keep going. It's a lot of good fighters coming up. Man.
There really is.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you now, I must ask you this. I have to ask this to everybody that we speak to from overseas, Jay Leon. Who's your favourite UK fighter of all time, past or present?
UK fighter.
I can help you with the top 3 most popular names if you want.
Okay, I'm pretty good at them, but go ahead. Let me see what you got.
The most popular has got to be Prince Nassim Hamed. He's always talked about.
He was a good fighter. Yes, he was. Yep. Go ahead.
Apart from him, Lennox Lewis gets talked about, and Ricky Hatton.
I'll say Lennox Lewis is my top one.
Yeah?
That'll be my top one. Lennox Lewis, he's just the way he did everything properly, the way he shot his punches, the way he worked behind his jab. He was a very skilled and technical fighter. I like technical fighters. I don't like a guy that just go out there and war it out. You know what I'm saying? I like guys that can bang and box and beat and make you think. And Lennox Lewis was that type of fighter. So, yes, Lennox Lewis for sure.
Absolutely. And now, just before I let you go, the last thing I want to just ask you and give you an opportunity to do, you've got a load of guys over here in the UK that are big fans of yourself. If you've got a message to send any of those, please tell it to them now.
Yeah, I'm just Jay Leon, man. I'm the way that I am. I talk the way that I talk. You know what I'm saying? And I really, I respect those who respect me. And I appreciate the people that do show me love from the UK. I mean, obviously, I come from, the bottom. So for now, people to know my name there, whether, is from another boxer or just a boxer fan, it means a lot. Outside of that, don't judge me until you know me, man. You know what I'm saying? But, I appreciate the love. Lots of respect to all the fighters over there. I want to get out there and fight some of those guys, and you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of love from me to you, to all the fans, to upcoming fighters, the guys in the Olympics that I'm following. You know what I'm saying? The silver medalist for the light heavyweight, he did a great job from over there. It's just, so on and so forth, man. I keep up with a lot of you guys, and I appreciate y'all keeping up with me.
Excellent stuff. Okay, listen, Jay Leon, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you. I appreciate you giving us a bit of time this week. I wish you good luck in your fight on the 16th and a happy birthday a few days after that.
I appreciate you having me on, bro.
Okay, now it's time to conclude episode 47 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Ayaz Sumra has been Ayaz Sumra. I'd like to apologise for some of the small audio interference during part 1 and 2. I'm very sorry about that. We'll hopefully get that fixed. I'd like to thank our 2 guests for taking part in this week's show. World contender Jay Leon Love and yet another world champion, this time Mr. Juan Diaz. The biggest thank you of all goes out to the listeners. I've always said it and I'll always keep saying it. Without you, this show is nothing. To all the regulars, it's been great to have you back. And to all the first-time listeners, welcome aboard. We'll be back next week with another world champion and also another big show, as always. Until then, my friends, take care.